Happy birthday to Flute Tip of the Week! Hello and welcome back to Flute Tip of the Week. We are officially 1 year old today, and this is very exciting. It means that it's another year of exciting new teaching tips. Almost as exciting as the fact that my hockey team is in the playoffs. Anyway, I wanted to talk about something quite fun and also very, very useful. I will indeed be risking playing the flute today, because what kind of party is a flute birthday party without playing the flute? Improvisation is an important tool which incorporates knowledge of scale patterns with opening up your expressive options. I know I've mentioned it in the past. I mentioned it a little bit last week in terms of working with piano when not able to actually play the flute, but improvisation is very, very important for any musician to get comfortable with. It is very natural for jazz musicians to be comfortable with improvisation because that is part of their job. But it's also important for people who are classical musicians to get comfortable with this, instead of just depending on what's in front of us or what we remember to be able to play something. It is also an important teaching tool because especially if your student has been doing very well with their scales and is maybe getting tired of doing a specific warm-up at the beginning of each of your lessons, a really good way to get them involved as well as warm up their musical mind is to do improvisation with them. And this can be anything from call and response to getting them to pick a key and then you decide what kind of character they're going to play, telling them that halfway through they need to be incorporating such and such scale, like if you are trying to get them to play something happy and you say you have to have at least one little bit where there's a scale in thirds. And really, you can be as specific in regulations or vague as you want. And especially in a teaching scenario, not only is it beneficial to the student, but it also affords you, the teacher, the time to be able to explore this yourself. It is also an excellent alternative if you don't have very much time to warm up, say before a rehearsal, or if you need to make sure you get a few minutes of playing in, but you don't really have any specific repertoire that you want to be working on. You just want to focus on getting musically set up as well as ensuring that you've got some scales under your fingers. Improvisation has got you covered. So let's say first, I am wanting to warm up my sound and I want to make sure that things are flowing evenly between the notes, that I have very smooth transitions in intervals. I can pick myself a key and I can pick myself a character. So for this example, let's go for D minor and something quite lamenting, very sad, but also very longing. And here, what I'm focusing on is having a good transition between the notes, finding my sound, and making sure I've got my fingers in the right place. About how I was using my vibrato between notes, and I also did it at a length where, especially when it's someone with an injury like me, it didn't end up causing any pain because I made sure that it was just the right length before it started to cause any discomfort. Let's say you're about to perform one of the Mozart concertos and you are needing to warm up backstage, but you know the audience can hear you. You don't want to give up what you're about to be playing because, especially if an audience member has never heard it before, it can be a bit of a letdown when they can hear large parts of it being practiced just before it's about to be performed. And I want to make sure that my scales and thirds in G major and D major are going to be bang on the spot. So I'm going to make an improvisation based on transposing from G major to D major whilst doing scales and thirds, but doing it in a way that is bright, energetic, and very buoyant. And so I may improvise something like this. me in the mood to be really excited for what I'm about to perform, but it also gets my fingers going and it gets me thinking about the connection between various parts of the scale, as well as getting comfortable with not just starting the scale right at the tonic and beginning it at different points within the key. Now, if you're teaching or if you're working with someone else and you decide that you want to do a call and response, pick two keys, one to begin with and one to modulate to. And what you're going to do is pick the mood and the style, and then just flip a coin and see who is going to play first to do the calls. Let's say I want to do a call and response on F major and G minor. Now, these aren't normal keys that would be related in terms of natural modulation patterns, but it creates an interesting reason for you to look into different ways of connecting phrases and finding notes in common with each other. And we are going to do this in a kind of jazz blues style. It's good to pick a style that you're not normally comfortable with because it allows you the time to kind of get in the character of it. And it might encourage you to start listening to some other legends of different genres than you're used to. So person A will do a call, and then person B is going to respond to that while maintaining a similar rhythm pattern to person A, but have enough difference to create development between the two phrases. Now, person A is going to start thinking about leading into the next key, which we chose as G minor. And he wants to start this in a way that person B will naturally respond and modulate. Let's switch. So we're going to be starting from the same area we were, and now person B is going to be continuing and starting with the calls. And then person A is going to respond. Now person B is going to try and lead person A back to F major. And there we have it. We have a group activity that allowed us to really think about what the other person was doing. We were able to do a bit of practice in finding the right kind of groove to be able to get into the spirit of the jazzer. Warmed up both a major key and a minor key and really thought about the difference in the tone color between the two keys. And it's something that is a bit of a pick-me-up because there's nothing more exciting and invigorating than creating something entirely new just from the air. For our last option for improvisation for today, let's think about when we are wanting to really warm up our articulation or just get really comfortable with the tone of one note. So for example, let's pick middle E, just because that is quite notorious. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that not only is the E not going to be cracking, but it has a good solid tone, and we start to associate it with actually being musical as opposed to worrying about it jumping up the octave and basically ruining whatever phrase we were hoping to play. And so we are going to do an improvisation that is using only the E, but changing around the rhythm, the color of the tone, and introducing different dynamics and accents so that we can really test out the boundaries of that note. Not only was that a lot of fun to just focus on rhythms, but it helps with comfort with the E natural. It lets you have a little bit more confidence in how you're articulating, and it gives you the sound of mind that you need to know, I can hit this with my tongue. I can make a really cool tone and really dig into this note without it jumping away. And this is the wonder of improvisation. Not only is it musical and wonderful and great for performance, but it allows you to really think about each part of your technique and each part of your musicality individually, and then gradually incorporate those together so that you can have a stronger overall package. So again, that tip was improvisation is an important tool which incorporates knowledge of scale patterns as well as opening up your expressive options. I hope you find this week's tip helpful and fun to try out at home. So I'll see you all next week. Flute happy, improvise happy, and start getting a little bit more groovy. I love the summer in London because the whole city just takes on a different character. And even though it is still technically spring, it's been such beautiful weather. Bright blue sunny skies, nice and warm temperature. If I didn't have work I needed to do right now, I'd be going out there and try to get less pale.